You won't believe what Steve Harvey just revealed about Lori Harvey and her relationship with Future. This isn't your typical celebrity gossip. Steve is spilling details that fans have been dying to hear, and some of it is downright shocking. From heartbreak to drama behind closed doors, we're getting the inside scoop straight from the man who knows Lori better than anyone, her dad, Steve Harvey. What exactly happened? Steve doesn't hold back. He talks about the choices Lori made, the influence of the relationship, and the moments that left him worried as a father. And yes, he hints at things that could change the way fans see Future forever. Was Lori manipulated, pressured, or just caught up in the whirlwind of fame and love? Steve's revelations raise questions about celebrity relationships and the real consequences they can have not just for the stars, but for the people closest to them. But here's the kicker. It's not all about shaming or blaming. It's about awareness, protection, and the lessons that come from watching someone you love go through the ups and downs of high-profile love. This story is emotional, tense, and full of drama that you won't see anywhere else. So buckle up, because in the next few minutes, we're breaking down everything Steve said, analyzing the hints, and asking the questions everyone's thinking. What did Future really do? How did Lori react? And what does this mean for their future or her next chapter? Stay tuned, because this is the kind of celebrity revelation that leaves everyone shook. After that shocking hook, let's unpack what Steve Harvey actually said and why it has everyone talking. First, a little context for those who might not be fully caught up. Lori Harvey, the model and entrepreneur, has been in the public eye not just for her career, but also for her high-profile relationships. One of the most talked about, of course, was with Future, the Grammy-winning rapper. Fans and media alike have followed every twist, every post, and every rumor, but Steve Harvey just pulled back the curtain in a way we didn't expect. Steve Harvey, a man who's been in the spotlight for decades and has seen it all, doesn't mince words when it comes to his daughter. In interviews and public statements, he's always been protective of Lori, often offering advice, warnings, and sometimes tough love. And when it comes to her time with Future, Steve revealed insights that are both personal and revealing about the dynamics of celebrity relationships. According to Steve, one of the biggest challenges Lori faced in this relationship wasn't just the public scrutiny or the constant paparazzi attention, it was the emotional roller coaster. Future, as fans know, has a reputation for being charming, magnetic, and incredibly persuasive. But that charm comes with a price. Steve hinted that Lori experienced moments of doubt, conflict, and emotional strain that he, as a father, found deeply concerning. He described situations where he felt the need to step in, not as a celebrity dad trying to control his daughter's love life, but as a parent watching someone he loves navigate complicated waters. It's easy to forget that behind the glitz, glam, and social media posts, these relationships are real. Lori isn't just a model or influencer. She's a young woman dealing with love, expectations, and the pressures of public life. Steve's revelations shed light on what many fans have speculated. The challenges of dating someone like Future aren't just about fame or money. They're about emotional impact, boundaries, and navigating a world where private moments become public spectacle. One of the most shocking parts of Steve's comments centered on control and influence. He didn't outright accuse Future of wrongdoing, but he did suggest that Lori had to make tough decisions, sometimes under pressure, and that these decisions weighed heavily on her. For a father, seeing your child in a relationship where power dynamics, fame, and emotional stakes collide is not easy. Steve described moments where he had to give advice, offer perspective, and sometimes step back and let Lori make her own choices, because at the end of the day, it's her life. Fans have long debated Future's intentions, with some saying he's a smooth operator and others questioning his commitment and behavior. Steve Harvey's comments don't just fuel that debate, they give it a personal, insider lens. He described observing Lori's emotional state, the highs and lows, and how her confidence sometimes wavered. For viewers, this is a reminder that celebrity relationships aren't just tabloids and Instagram posts. They're messy, real, and human. Another layer to this story is the role of public perception. Lori Harvey's relationships have always been scrutinized, from her very first headlines to her high-profile connections. Steve Harvey, aware of this scrutiny, emphasized the importance of protecting her from external pressures. He discussed how public opinion can influence personal decisions, how social media narratives can be misleading, and how these pressures add stress to already complicated situations. Steve also touched on lessons learned, both for Lori and for other young people watching. He suggested that relationships with high-profile figures, especially those in the music industry, require clarity, boundaries, and self-awareness. In other words, it's not enough to rely on love alone. Understanding dynamics, motives, and consequences is crucial. He encouraged Lori, and by extension the audience, to prioritize self-respect, mental health, and personal growth even when emotions run high. Fans reacted strongly to these revelations. Social media erupted with discussions about whether Steve's perspective was protective or too critical, whether Future was at fault, and whether Lori handled things well. But the takeaway is deeper than celebrity gossip. It's about understanding how relationships, especially in the public eye, can impact mental health, decision-making, and family dynamics. Steve also reflected on the learning curve. He mentioned that young adults, even those with immense success and resources like Lori, sometimes face situations where guidance is needed. He highlighted that experience, maturity, and parental insight can provide support, but ultimately, the choice rests with the individual. This is a subtle but important message. Regardless of fame, everyone faces personal challenges that require careful thought and resilience. Importantly, Steve didn't aim to shame Future. Instead, his commentary was about awareness and caution. He framed the conversation around growth, responsibility, and the emotional toll of relationships under the spotlight. By doing so, he positioned himself as a voice of reason, trying to help fans understand that behind every headline is a person navigating real emotions and consequences. For those wondering about the outcome, Steve hinted that Lori learned valuable lessons from her experience. He emphasized growth, reflection, and moving forward with clarity. It's a reminder that even in high-profile relationships, personal development and self-awareness are paramount. This also raises questions for the audience. How much influence should parents have in adult children's relationships? Can celebrity couples truly maintain privacy and emotional stability under public scrutiny? And what are the long-term impacts of these experiences on young adults like Lori? Steve's commentary opens a broader conversation about love, fame, and family dynamics that extends beyond just one relationship. In addition, there's the question of accountability. While Steve didn't explicitly criticize Future, he did highlight the importance of responsibility in relationships. Being in the public eye doesn't excuse behavior, and every action has consequences, especially when emotions, reputations, and family are involved. His insight encourages fans to consider both sides of the story, the charm and charisma of the partner, and the well-being of the person they are with. Finally, Steve's approach balances emotion with wisdom. He mixes fatherly concern with public candor, showing how personal experience can inform perspective. For viewers, it's not just a story about Lori Harvey and Future. It's a case study in managing relationships under pressure, understanding emotional dynamics, and navigating love when the world is watching. By unpacking these layers, we see a narrative about growth, reflection, and resilience. Lori Harvey, with guidance from Steve, learned lessons that are relatable to anyone, even outside the celebrity sphere. The combination of fame, influence, and family concern creates a compelling story that resonates with audiences worldwide, where we'll dive deeper into the emotional aftermath, public reactions, and what this means for Lori's future. But for now, the story of Steve Harvey revealing the complexities of Lori Harvey's relationship with Future is a vivid reminder. Behind every glamorous headline, there's a human story of challenges, lessons, and growth. Picking up where we left off, the story doesn't end with Steve Harvey's comments. It actually kicks into another layer: the public fallout and the reactions from fans, media, and social circles. As soon as Steve's revelations hit the headlines, social media exploded. People were dissecting every word, every implication. Some fans praised Steve for being a protective father, a voice of reason in a whirlwind of celebrity chaos. Others criticized him, saying that Lori is an adult capable of making her own decisions and that he was overstepping boundaries. This tension between parental guidance and personal autonomy is central to the story. On one hand, Steve's perspective offers a window into the emotional stakes Lori faced, moments of doubt, pressure, and public scrutiny. On the other hand, the narrative raises questions about agency. Should Lori's decisions be filtered through parental concern, or does she have the right to navigate love, mistakes, and lessons on her own terms? The internet had opinions, memes, hot takes, you name it. But beyond the viral posts, there's a real lesson about how fame complicates even the most personal aspects of life. Steve also spoke about what Lori learned from her time with Future. He emphasized reflection and growth. While relationships often leave emotional scars, they also provide clarity. In Lori's case, the relationship served as both a test and a teacher. Steve hinted that she emerged more self-aware, more cautious about whom she trusts, and more deliberate in her choices. That's a message that resonates beyond celebrity culture. Every relationship carries lessons, and sometimes the most valuable takeaways come from challenges rather than successes. Meanwhile, the media frenzy didn't slow down. Paparazzi photos, social media rumors, and even celebrity gossip columns added layers of speculation. Many questioned Future's role. Was he careless, manipulative, or simply caught up in the whirlwind of fame himself? Steve's comments didn't definitively answer these questions, but they provided context. The relationship had real emotional weight, and Lori's experiences weren't just entertainment fodder. They were lived realities with consequences. Steve also highlighted the importance of mental health in these situations. Being in the public eye magnifies every argument, every misstep, and every emotional reaction. Lori, like many young celebrities, has to navigate these pressures while still figuring out who she is and what she wants. Steve's perspective underscores that parental support, personal boundaries, and self-awareness are not optional. They are essential. For viewers, it's a reminder that behind every viral headline is a human being managing stress, expectation, and emotional complexity. One of the most fascinating parts of the fallout was how fans debated responsibility. Some argued that Future should have been more considerate of Lori's feelings, given the intensity of the spotlight and the power imbalance in terms of fame. Others said that relationships are inherently messy, and adults must navigate them without parental interference. Steve's insights sit somewhere in between. He doesn't demonize Future, but he emphasizes vigilance, awareness, and emotional intelligence. This brings us to another crucial point: the role of trust and boundaries in high-profile relationships. Steve revealed that Lori faced situations where her decisions could be influenced by external factors, public opinion, peer pressure, or even subtle coercion. Navigating these dynamics requires maturity and self-awareness, qualities that are often tested when fame, money, and influence intersect. Steve's commentary illustrates how these relationships are far more complex than the romanticized versions we often see on Instagram or TikTok. At the heart of the discussion is the concept of growth. Steve positioned the relationship as a formative experience for Lori. Mistakes, heartbreak, and emotional challenges are part of the learning process. For young adults, celebrity or not, the lessons are the same: understanding your worth, setting boundaries, and prioritizing personal well-being are essential. Steve's perspective reminds fans that, even in high-profile relationships, the ultimate goal should be self-preservation and growth. Meanwhile, Lori herself has begun to navigate life post-Future. Her career continues to flourish. Modeling gigs, brand endorsements, and entrepreneurial ventures keep her busy. But beyond professional success, Steve's comments suggest that she has gained a renewed sense of agency and clarity. Learning from emotional challenges, understanding the nuances of relationships, and recognizing the importance of family support are all part of her journey forward. Public perception also plays a role. Fans are quick to judge, often reducing complex dynamics to headlines or gossip. Steve's revelations, however, challenge the audience to consider context, the emotional stakes, parental concern, and the human side of celebrity relationships. The story is not just about Lori Harvey and Future, it's about how public scrutiny, fame, and family intersect in ways that are often invisible to outsiders. Another layer of this saga is accountability. While Steve Harvey didn't openly criticize Future, he highlighted the importance of responsibility in relationships. Emotional intelligence, respect, and consistency matter, especially when one partner is under intense public scrutiny. For Lori, observing these dynamics and learning from them reinforces the importance of making thoughtful choices. For fans, it's a subtle but significant lesson about evaluating character, intent, and impact, not just charm or public persona. The conversation also extended to celebrity culture at large. Steve's insight reflects a broader pattern. Young adults in the spotlight often face relationships complicated by power dynamics, external pressures, and public opinion. Lori Harvey's experience with Future becomes a case study in these dynamics, highlighting the challenges of maintaining personal boundaries, emotional health, and independent decision-making. Social media reactions ranged from outrage to empathy. Some fans defended Lori, applauding her growth and resilience. Others criticized Future, suggesting he didn't handle the relationship with sufficient care or awareness. Steve Harvey's commentary adds nuance, showing that relationships are rarely black and white, even for public figures. The human element, with emotions, mistakes, and learning, is central. Steve also touched on advice for others. Pay attention to warning signs, trust your instincts, and prioritize self-respect. For young people, celebrity or not, these lessons are universal. Relationships can teach hard truths, but they can also empower personal growth. In Lori's case, Steve emphasized that support, reflection, and awareness are key tools in navigating emotionally charged situations. By framing the narrative around growth, responsibility, and resilience, Steve Harvey offers fans a perspective that goes beyond gossip. It's about human experience, emotional intelligence, and learning from challenges. The relationship with Future, while high-profile, mirrors challenges many young adults face in their own lives, managing expectations, navigating emotional complexity, and learning from experience. The story concludes with a focus on Lori's next steps. Professionally, she continues to thrive. Emotionally, she appears stronger, more self-aware, and more deliberate in her choices. Steve Harvey's insights reinforce that her journey is ongoing, lessons learned, boundaries set, and personal growth prioritized. For fans, the takeaway is clear: relationships are complex, public scrutiny is intense, and growth is earned through experience, not just headlines. Finally, this saga raises important questions. How do we, as a society, interpret celebrity relationships? What role should family play in personal decisions? And how do emotional intelligence, resilience, and self-awareness shape the outcomes of love and heartbreak? Steve Harvey's revelations don't just provide answers, they spark reflection, discussion, and a deeper understanding of what it means to grow through love, mistakes, and life under the spotlight. In the end, Lori Harvey's story, as illuminated by Steve Harvey, is a reminder that behind every glamorous headline is a human being navigating real challenges. Lessons about trust, boundaries, personal growth, and resilience are universal, and the stakes, especially in celebrity life, are magnified. This isn't just a tale of a high-profile romance. It's a story of learning, evolving, and finding your footing when the world is watching. The story now shifts from the chaos of public scrutiny to Lori Harvey's journey of self-discovery and empowerment. While Steve Harvey's comments highlighted the drama and fallout from her relationship with Future, the real story lies in how Lori processed these experiences and moved forward. It's not just about heartbreak or celebrity gossip. It's about personal growth under intense public pressure. Steve emphasized that Lori had to navigate mixed messages and expectations from fans, media, and even her own social circles. In celebrity life, every action is amplified. A seemingly small decision can trigger endless speculation. For Lori, this meant learning to filter out noise, trust her instincts, and focus on her own well-being. That's a universal lesson. Even without fame, navigating conflicting advice while making independent decisions is a skill worth mastering. At the heart of Steve's commentary was the importance of resilience. He shared that Lori didn't just endure public scrutiny, she learned from it. She reflected on her relationship with Future, analyzing what went wrong, what she could have done differently, and what red flags she might have ignored. This level of introspection is rare, especially for someone in the public eye. The takeaway here is clear. Mistakes aren't failures. They're opportunities to grow, adapt, and become more self-aware. Meanwhile, the media narrative continued to swirl. Outlets speculated about Future's intentions, Lori's emotions, and the role of fame in the relationship. But Steve's insights helped humanize the situation. He reminded the audience that behind every viral headline is a real person with emotions, vulnerabilities, and lessons to learn. The juxtaposition between public perception and personal reality is stark, and Lori's story is a prime example of how fame complicates ordinary experiences. Steve also highlighted Lori's strength in setting boundaries. After the breakup, she learned to prioritize her emotional health over social pressures or public expectations. This isn't just about avoiding drama, it's about maintaining clarity, independence, and confidence. For young adults, this is an essential lesson. Relationships, especially intense or high-profile ones, require not just love, but also self-respect and assertiveness. Another key point Steve raised was the power of parental guidance without overstepping. He positioned his role as both protective and advisory, supporting Lori while allowing her to make her own decisions. That balance is crucial. It demonstrates that guidance is most effective when paired with trust and respect for autonomy. Fans responded positively to this, noting that Steve's approach highlighted healthy boundaries in family dynamics. As Lori moved forward, she also focused on personal achievements and career growth. Modeling, endorsements, and business ventures became avenues to channel her energy and ambition. Steve framed this as part of her healing and empowerment process, turning emotional challenges into motivation for professional and personal success. The lesson for the audience: focusing on growth and goals can transform setbacks into opportunities. In reflecting on the relationship itself, Steve emphasized that not all lessons come from success. Some of the most impactful insights emerge from difficult experiences. Lori's time with Future served as a mirror, reflecting patterns, expectations, and values that she could refine moving forward. This reflection helped her clarify what she wants in future relationships and reinforce the importance of compatibility, mutual respect, and emotional intelligence. Steve also touched on the importance of self-awareness in celebrity culture. With fame comes magnified scrutiny and pressure. Lori's journey demonstrates that maintaining a sense of self is critical, balancing personal identity against external narratives. For the audience, this reinforces the broader lesson. Staying grounded and self-aware allows you to navigate life's complexities, fame or not. The story also raises questions about accountability and public perception. While some fans criticized Future or speculated about his motives, Steve's insights reminded the audience that relationships are nuanced. Mistakes don't always equate to malice. Misunderstandings don't always indicate intent to harm. Lori's ability to process, forgive, and move forward illustrates a mature approach to emotional challenges, one that prioritizes growth over blame. Social media played a dual role in this narrative. On one hand, it amplified drama, speculation, and gossip. On the other, it served as a platform for reflection, dialogue, and empowerment. Steve highlighted how Lori navigated these pressures, filtering out toxicity while leveraging public attention for positive opportunities. That balance between engagement and self-preservation is a skill that viewers can apply in their own lives, online or offline. Steve also focused on the intersection of love and life lessons. He shared that while relationships can be painful, they also teach resilience, empathy, and critical thinking. Lori's experience underscores that emotional intelligence is learned through experience, and the public eye simply magnifies the stakes. For viewers, this is an important takeaway. The emotional labor in relationships is universal, even if the context differs. In the aftermath, Lori's personal growth became evident. She developed stronger boundaries, enhanced her decision-making skills, and cultivated a sense of independence and clarity. Steve framed this as a story of empowerment, showing that challenges, whether in the spotlight or not, can catalyze self-discovery. The journey isn't about perfection. It's about learning, evolving, and emerging stronger. Another critical point Steve made was the importance of emotional support systems. Family, friends, mentors all play a role in helping navigate complex experiences. Lori's relationship with her father illustrates this perfectly. He provided guidance, perspective, and support without overshadowing her agency. For viewers, it's a reminder that having a trusted support system can transform challenges into growth opportunities. By the end of this saga, the key takeaways are clear. Relationships are complex and nuanced, often teaching more than they take. Emotional resilience, self-awareness, and boundaries are essential, especially under pressure. Support from family and mentors can provide guidance without undermining personal autonomy. Fame amplifies every experience, but the human lessons remain universal. Steve Harvey's reflections also offer broader cultural insights. He demonstrates how celebrity stories can serve as lessons for real-life relationships, decision-making, and personal growth. Lori's journey, as filtered through his perspective, shows that even publicized experiences can carry meaningful, actionable advice for anyone navigating relationships, boundaries, or personal development. Finally, the story concludes with a forward-looking perspective. Lori Harvey has emerged from the challenges with renewed clarity, focus, and independence. The lessons from her relationship with Future, as shared by Steve Harvey, are not just about heartbreak, they're about growth, resilience, and empowerment. Fans are left with a story that combines celebrity intrigue with real human takeaways, reinforcing that personal growth often arises from the most intense experiences. For viewers, the ultimate question remains: how do we balance love, life lessons, and public scrutiny? Lori Harvey's experience, framed by Steve Harvey's insights, provides a roadmap. It's about learning from mistakes, protecting your well-being, setting boundaries, and focusing on personal growth. The journey isn't glamorous, but it's real, and that's what makes it compelling. As Steve Harvey reminded everyone, life's lessons don't stop just because the cameras are rolling. Lori Harvey's story illustrates that navigating relationships, personal challenges, and public life requires courage, self-awareness, and reflection. It's a reminder that behind every headline, there's a human experience, and those experiences are where the real lessons live. In the end, this story isn't just about Lori Harvey or Future. It's about empathy, growth, and resilience, lessons that resonate far beyond celebrity culture. It challenges fans to think critically, engage thoughtfully, and apply these lessons to their own lives. Because at the heart of every relationship, public or private, the question remains: what are you learning and how are you growing?